I was disconnected, so maybe.
I think you were disconnected.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. It still said that I was in the call with you.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Okay.
So I've started the stream again, so we'll wait till that comes back up.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, there we go. We're back. Can you hear us still, guys? Are you still there? And Gal?
Yeah, let us know if it's working again.
Natch, Buzzer, are we back?
We'll figure it out.
There's a delay on it, so...
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay. So let's have a look at some FUMBBL teams. Let's have a look at some of my human teams. I just can't get FUMBBL up for some reason.
Yep, he says we're back.
Yeah, nice one. Right. So let me just show you my screen. So let's go on to FUMBBL. Right. Let's have a look. Hopefully, if you're watching on stream, when it gets there, you should be able to see my page.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
Yeah, you got my page?
It's working for me. I can see it.
I know, but I'm sharing my screen with you.
I mean, I'm looking on the Twitch, not on.
Okay, nice one. Okay, so let's go to my teams. Scroll down quick so you don't see my IP address. IP address was there. Whoops. So let me show you my human teams and how I've been building them. Black box. Knights of the FUMBBL Order. That's a successful one. So we'll have a look at this one. That Knights of the Last Order, which has played over 100 games.
Okay, yeah. Well, there you go. There's a sample.
And this is the Human League Premiership I was talking about. Merker, thanks Merker for the image. But they hit a bit of a rough patch with my blitzers. But this guy, Gareth Sir Gareth, Blodger, movement 8, fend, literally used him as a thrower. Got a nice couple of catches here as well. And that's what I was talking about earlier while you were off.
Sure.
If you get 2 decent catches, they are absolute gold dust. And then you just use your journeyman as fodder. Now, in terms of your Ogre's always a big question in a human team.
Yeah.
Should it be there? Should it not be there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always kind of a believer that you need to use all. Well, you don't need to, but I like to use all the tools I'm given. So on pretty much any team, I'm eventually going to try to take as many different positionals and players as I can, just because it gives the opponent one more thing to think about.
Oh, I want to challenge that so bad.
Oh, hey, Purple Chest. Speak of the devil. Do you know, interestingly,
about 25 examples of teams where that isn't true. So I want to rip that apart over the course of the week.
All right. Well, Dave's coming in with breathing fire. I am sure you will disagree, and I bet you will not name one that I wouldn't take. but you can name a lot that a lot of people would. Yes, love them. Stab, great
runners,
skill.
Dark Elf runners.
Absolutely. Dumping off, passing to each other, all that kind of stuff.
Goblin hooligans.
I quite like them.
Okay, the hooligan I will give you that I take mostly for fluff and fun reasons. If I was really, had a gun to my head and had to win a game of Blood Bowl with a goblin team, the hooligan might not make the cut. I'll give you that. I'll maybe give you
Goblins on an orc team.
I have 2. I have 2
throwers on an orc team.
I have 2 of those too. I have major champion winning orcs on FUMBBL that have 2 goblins and 2 throwers, and did when they won the tournament.
That's fantastic. More shit players handicapping yourself deliberately.
I know. It was very nice of me. In that major.
Good evening. Are we miscast? Am I joining midway?
You are midway in, but you've brought a shot of life to us.
Hello, everybody. It's Purple Chest. Glad to be joining you.
Hey, PC. No worries. I was just talking about ogres on human teams, and looking at my human team. Actually, interestingly, I'll go back to it if I can find it. My ogre is called, and this must have been done ages ago, but my ogre is called Mr. Purple Chest, or Sir Purple Chest.
Sir Purple Chest, thank you.
Yeah, so, well, it's Knights of the Last Order. Knights of the Last Order.
I see. Thank you very much. I do seem to crop up in a few teams, which is very, very flattering.
Yeah.
My ogre on my current box team is called Heart Disease.
Okay.
Number 1 position. And the team is called Human Suffering, and they are named after the top 12 causes of deaths in human beings. And number 1 is heart disease. So
there you go.
There you go.
Okay. A lovely reminder of our own mortality. That's good.
And my other human team, which has been successful, they won the FUMBBL Cup when that was a thing. Yeah, I think you've just got to have those with humans. You've just got to have those freak players. So I've got. I mean, look at that blitzer there. Movement 9, guard, tackle, and dodge, and that plus strength. And you got plus MA, but minus MA. Frenzy, tackle, mighty blow. That's what you got to do with your blitzers and humans. I'm not carrying a lot of catches on here because they don't last very long.
I keep trying to prioritize a frenzy. I love a frenzy on my NAF stuff. If I take NAF, then having that extra option, having that fear you can put in people, particularly if you've got 4 blitzers, I think you can afford one to be frenzy. But in a league, I really want tackle on at least 2. I want mighty blow on all 4, and I want guard on all 4.
Sure.
Because that gives me options all over the pitch.
Right.
And a really solid defensive base. And then on that top of that, I'd love to add a frenzy.
Sure.
But then you're also hoping to get a blodge tackler so that he's really mobile and other good stuff like that. So I think frenzy's hard to prioritize early. Again, but then I've always seen frenzy slightly as a nega trait. It requires so much support to use well that it can really end up pulling your whole position aside just to get a nice frenzy hit.
Yeah, I think actually, that's your opinion about frenzy. I think really highlights a stylistic difference between different kinds of coaches, because you know what I mean. Because I like frenzy a lot, but I tend to be a more high risk type of player. You know what I mean? So I think for me, it's like, oh, look at all these blocks I can throw. And then, the more conservative, more positionally sound player says, look at all these times I could get out of position. And
absolutely.
So, but yeah, I mean, I would want frenzy on any team now. That's kind of a thing I'm kind of working myself into, is that I need to find a way to put frenzy on any team. But I agree that it's, with orcs, I put it on the blitzers pretty freely, but because orcs have so much more strength, they don't need as much guard. Humans, the blitzers kind of have to be your guards. They have to be your mighty blows, and then, so I see what you're saying. That at some point you're running out of time to put frenzy on them. So
I mean, if you are waiting for, say, the 3rd or even 4th skill for a frenzy, then perhaps you've got someone that's even more suitable to it by then. Someone who's plus agility or someone who's plus strength, and that's a natural double for frenzying.
Right. And there's
increasingly, I'm loving frenzy on an elf team. The ability to not mind so much if it pulls you out of position. You've got the ability to support the frenzy. And even if you can't get the elf away from the sideline afterwards, there's a really good chance you can drop an elf in a place that still makes it very hard to be served back.
Yep. And they all get
much harder to do with, say, dwarves.
Yep, they all get sidestep on normal rolls too, which makes counter surfing them really difficult.
I mean, Slayers are another conundrum because the frenzy is a lovely tool and it gives you some control over the sidelines and people fear it.
Yep.
But you want your Slayers with mighty blow, and then really, it's a choice. Do you want to make them pure hitters, and then back that frenzy up maybe with some stand firm to keep them safe, or tackle, or even piling on back when it was available, and it still is in NAF usually? Or do you want to make them the center of your attack and support them, because then they need guard, so that other guards support them, but then they also support back. And you can make them the pinnacle of an attack. So they get built in very different ways. And with AV8, they get hit so much that I'm not sure guard is the right call. I think pure hitters that aren't going to last the game is probably a better way to build them.
Yeah. Yep. When I play dwarves, I always mighty blow first them. I think you can. I think Juggernaut goes really well with frenzy. Yeah. For obvious reasons, and then stand for. Position and get vulnerable, they can at least hold themselves still and not get batted around and shoved out of bounds and all that. So.
And I think Juggernaut's a really interesting first pick on something like a Minotaur if it doesn't pull doubles.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's probably best used on something with MA8 that can suddenly crop up miles from where it was, half the way across the pitch, and serve someone you thought was unservable.
That's that's
when Juggernaut really gives me the fear, is when it's on a high elf catcher or a war dancer.
They are quite lethal with frenzy, aren't they?
Yeah, a witch
Frenzy,
elf.
particularly if it's backed up with Juggernaut, then suddenly you can't go anywhere near the sides because they can get anywhere.
Yeah. Yep. That's
witch elves, of course, that's an obvious.
Yeah. If you've got any questions about human team strategy, feel free to lob them on to Twitch while we're on here. But also send us a message on Discord or on FUMBBL itself. There is a strategy guide on FUMBBL in the help sections. Because you can play them, I guess that's the joy of them, is you can play them lots of different ways. And don't forget the star players as well. You've got Zug, you've got Griff, now you've got Zara. No, you've got, what's her name? Carla.
Well, do we still have Zara? I mean,
no, I don't think we do have Zara. I think I meant Carla. It was my mistake.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and there we go into
a
can of worms.
Yeah. But I was going to say, they do have great star access. I was going to just give a little credit. I agree with Natch Togan in the Twitch chat that humans, if they get stat increases, that helps them a lot, maybe even more than other races, because they have good skill access. You have strength access, you have agility passing, you have all the access, but the stats are kind of mediocre a lot of the way. So if you can get some plus strength ones, that might help you even more than it would with some other teams.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's,
Okay. In terms of what we're doing now, what we're going to do next, we've done a bit of a race focus on humans. I hope you didn't mind us starting PC. We just thought we'd we'll start and let you just join in. The new Wood Elf release. Obviously, we knew that Wood Elves were going to come. It would make sense with the trees. We're not going to get into a tree conversation. We kind of did last podcast. But I think it's a bit lame that they've just re-released the old tree.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at the new models. So what do we think? I'm sharing my screen, Dave, if you can't see it.
Yes, no, I've had a good look at them.
What do you reckon?
Yeah. I like them. I have a few little minor issues, but overall I like them. I think it took me being told a couple times to figure out which were the linos and which were the catchers and which were the war dancers.
And that's the bit.
So once someone told me that the bare-chested guys are war dancers,
yeah, I knew that bit.
But the catchers, they got their hand up in the air, right? But it doesn't. To me, it's not that obvious. And sitting up, when you're looking real close at it, you can see, they're the ones with their hand up in the air. But I question on a board,
So is that a catcher there?
That is, and two to the left, I believe.
Catcher.
The other one, yeah.
Catcher. They've got right. They've got different coloured gloves on.
Yeah.
So that might be a
they don't have
feature.
They don't have like the big visible glove like the human catchers kind of have, right? Where you can like very easily says this is a catcher. You look at it,
But also the linemen have they look like the thing from Alien.
Well, see, I went really in close on these pictures, and I had a good look.
Okay.
And I think people are going to be surprised knowing how negative I can sometimes be about Games Workshop models.
No.
These are fantastic.
Yeah, I like them.
These are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they're very pretty. They look nice.
I have no problems with them whatsoever. I think it's a beautifully designed roster. I like every single thing about them. So there we are.
I think it's nice paint job as
It was
well.
a shock to me. I kept looking for where I was going to find gold.
Let me
and
ask
I found
you then.
None.
We had a talk about, me and Krista were talking about, there's a lot of 1 foot poses, which is something that usually bothers you, but does it not with the Wood Elves as much?
Not so much with the Wood Elves. It's more big guys on 1 foot that I really worry about.
I kind of...
Because for my modelling friends, I just know that's a pain and they get annoyed with it. So,
it is annoying.
I kind of thought, like fluff-wise, those kind of poses, athletic poses, look right with the Wood Elves. Where like, the tree or the troll on 1 foot is like, what the heck is it doing? It doesn't make any sense, but they look a little more natural with the Wood Elves on 1 foot, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it gives you the sort of the agility and the speed I think they want. I mean, I know for a fact from the Cossacks I've bought that a couple of the catchers there on one leg, it's a vulnerable point, and they are going to snap and they are going to get super glued. But
Yeah.
I think you need that level of dynamism. I think what they've done, and obviously it isn't a response to anything we've said because this was all planned years ago.
Right.
But I really like the heads. I like the way
the interchangeable heads at last.
I look at those and I don't see 6 poses
Right.
doubled. I see 12
Right.
different, absolutely
Yes.
individual-looking elves.
Yes,
And
I do
the way
agree with
they've
that.
modelled them, painted them, and posed them makes them look completely different to each other. Even the two with the most obvious pose, the arm up catching, the ones we think are probably could catch us.
Right.
Even them and the heads are the most similar. They just look really different. If you go really close in on those masks, I think they're going to require some really good painting. They're very woody and very sort of thorny looking. I think they're going to fit right in. You can tell exactly who the war dancers are, as you should be able to, which is great.
Right.
The throwers have balls. I've never loved that, but I guess it's an easy way of knowing who your throwers are. And the catchers may need a little bit of paint to show that they're catchers.
Sure.
But there's been worse. I mean, the dwarves were just ridiculous. You know, not having something to show what the blitzers were was ridiculous.
I think the dwarves are quite hard to tell apart, aren't they?
Yeah, some of them really are. I mean, I've started putting some really obvious symbols on them. And I'd advise people painting-wise to actually paint a difference in on the blitzers.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
And possibly even the runners as well. I think the runners people get confused about.
Yeah.
So I think these wood elves are beautiful. I think they're really nicely posed, really nicely painted.
Yeah.
I like them.
I like them too.
I think the heads and those masks are going to be fantastic. So hooray!
We all agree that we quite like them, which is very very unusual. And I hate wood elves.
But I haven't heard about this tree. I was hoping for a super new tree. I didn't like the new deep root much.
Yeah. No, it was. I've seen somebody paint one up.
I imagine
which is quite nice.
Is there a connection with the halflings and wood elves both coming out at the same time that they're going to release just new trees that
you would think
one?
You would think that, wouldn't you? You would hope so.
There's a logic to that, but then logic and Games Workshop are not
always
always
together hand in hand.
Does that make a little too much sense to expect? Okay.
Possibly. Okay, Dave, you weren't here at the start, so tell us what you've been up to Blood Bowl wise.
I went to a tournament, which was lovely. Have we talked about that on the last one, or
which one was it?
We
talked about me going to it.
Oh, is it Backbreaker?
Oh yeah, the Backbreaker. No, we covered that, didn't we?
Yeah. But only that you were going to it.
Okay, well I went to it.
Oh, and how did you get on?
I think I did well. I think I came 6th.
Oh,
out of about 40. Which
I was going to say out of about 6th. Yeah.
It's fairly typical for me at the moment in that I seem to get up towards the top end, but I'm not really challenging yet. Which I guess is okay. You know, this is only still my 8th tournament. That's not that many, but you know, and I'm certainly not a scrub if that's a thing. So yeah, you know, that's okay. I won game 1 and game 2 against some reasonable opposition. The guy I played in game 2 was, I think he's called SCS Sam or something like that. But he'd won of the 3 that had been in the London series this season. He won the second one. Whereas Gritter, ex of FUMBBL, he's now quit FUMBBL because he can't play it reasonably. It's too addictive. He'll be back, sure, but at the moment he's only doing tabletop. He won the first one, and SCS Sam won the second one. And I beat him game 2 to be, you know, heading up towards the top of the standings and looking good.
Nice.
Game 3 was a total disaster that I managed to salvage to a draw with some horrific dice. And game 4 was a terrible matchup for me against some very well coached Nurgle, and I managed to save that to a draw too. So going into the 4th game, I was on 2 wins and a draw, again with about 4 other coaches, maybe 5, and there was only one coach with 3 wins, and he was coaching goblins. So he was definitely on the final table. The question was which of us would face him. And obviously with my dwarves, I quite fancied that.
Sure.
But luck was not to be, and instead I had to face Nurgle, which is one of the worst matchups at that TV, particularly. You know, he'd taken the beast, and he'd taken 3 bloaters, and you know, lots and lots of disturbing presence and foul appearance fails. And just really hard to get any movement, and because you know he wasn't that desperately interested in winning, particularly in the second half, it was a grind out 1-1. I had some shots at the win. I certainly had some shots at the win in game 3, but unfortunately it was a draw. And hey, you know, these things happen. But yeah, had that final game been me versus the Goblins, that would have been beautiful. The Goblins unfortunately lost the final game, so they won 3 and lost 1, and hence did not end up winners. It was some Skaven that took them out 2-1 in the final. But it was some really well-coached Goblins, and it was a cracking game. Now, I said before we went there was going to be these weather effects.
Oh, yes.
We were going to use the table.
Did you use them at all?
They actually came up in games 1 and 2.
Okay.
In game 1, we had underground geysers, which meant that every time someone, we decided that the rule was a bit vague. It was every time someone is knocked down, I think, rather than placed prone, you roll a dice, and on a 1, they're launched D3 spaces in the air, and